Alright, Joe here, welcome back to We Need to Talk. Of course, this is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past 7 days. 7 days that's seen Heung-min Son producing touches from the gods. Gareth Southgate continuing to back Jordan Pickford.
Well, when people say I've been loyal to him, I mean, he's deserved that. His performances have been excellent for us. And so that's not been a difficult decision for me. We have some competition for places, but I'd have to say that there's nobody that I think is challenging seriously at the moment to push him out of that position.
And Jose Mourinho revealing the truth behind those questionable Instagram posts.
I'm still not an Instagram man in my nature. I have to be honest, I have nothing to hide. I was asked by my sponsors to do it because they felt that when I closed my account a few years ago, we had a few millions and the sponsors were not happy when I closed it. So now I'm doing bit by bit, quite funny, no problem.
Anyway, this week we need to talk about Premier League managers. Okay, so I was struggling to find some big news stories in the world of football. There's Barcelona being in financial peril, but we're covering that on an FD Explain coming very soon. There's Pochettino to Manchester United, but that's the focus of Sunday Vibes. So I thought we'll try something a little bit different. I was having a browse of YouTube and I saw Spencer rank all 20 Premier League managers. So I thought, yeah, why not give that a go? Now, I'm not going to do it the same format Spencer did. I'm going to be doing it in tier lists because that's worked pretty well for We Need to Talk in the past. So before we get into this, I'm warning you now, it's probably going to be quite controversial. And I want to hear from you guys as well. Who is the flat-out worst manager in the league? I don't care about the best. I want to know your worst league manager. Let me know in the comments below and I'll post the 3 best ones on my Instagram. Right, let's not mess about anymore. Starting off, alphabetical order, of course, with Mikhail Arteta. Started the season really, really impressively. Of course, got the best defensive record in the league, despite having to go away to Liverpool, Man United and Manchester City. Already involved in a top 4 battle. But most importantly, in his first full season in management, he won a trophy. And not a Mickey Mouse one either, the FA Cup. Very impressive stuff. I think he's given Arsenal some real identity. But I'm going to put him in tier 3, just because I think there's quite a few managers in the league that are better than him, such as the quality of Premier League managers right now. Aston Villa's Dean Smith up next then, and it's an interesting one because I actually think he underperformed last season, given the amount of money he spent on that squad, just about scraping survival in the Premier League. Not great. But he did keep them up. This season, they definitely look more convincing. I think it's a masterstroke to get Jack Grealish to sign, some huge summer moves, and they've actually started the season in very impressive fashion. Do I put him any higher than tier 4 though? Do you know what? Tier 3, tier 4. I'm going to put him in tier 4 mainly because of last season and just because I know some of the other names that are going to go into tier 3 already. Here's one of them. Up next, Brighton's Graham Potter. I actually think he's working miracles with an incredibly mediocre squad right now. It's worse than the Aston Villa squad on paper, in my opinion. And if you think back to how they were playing under Chris Hughton, this is a total revelation. They're unlucky not to have more points this season. They should have won a handful of games that they haven't won because of poor finishing. I think his future lies a lot higher than Brighton, and I actually think he's the best English manager in the division. I'm putting him in tier 3. Talking of English managers, we've got Sean Dyche up next. Now, he's probably done the most with the least of any manager in the division, if that makes sense. To consistently keep not only Burnley in the division, but finishing mid-table is a monumental achievement. You know, 12th, 11th, 13th, 14th. That's pretty amazing and probably warrants tier 3, if I'm honest. But I'm not putting him in tier 3. Because I personally don't love his style of play. This is a real personal opinion choice. He could easily be a tier 3 manager, let's have it right, but I just don't like watching Burnley. So I'm putting him in tier 4. Shut your mouths. Frank Lampard is up next, and this one is going to get the comments fizzing because I actually think he's doing a really good job with Chelsea right now. I know that Pato doesn't rate him. Quite a lot of the other FD boys don't rate him. But defence was clearly a huge issue last season. And I think to some extent he solved it. So far, over the last 5 or 6 games, I think 5 clean sheets in a row for Eduard Mendy can't be sniffed at. Finally being able to shift Kepa. Thiago Silva looks much improved in that back line. Going forward, they're fine. To get top 4 without signing any players, really impressive accomplishment. I don't think he's ripping up any trees, but I think he's good. I'm going tier 3. Again, shut your mouths. We are really focusing in on the English managers alphabetically here. Obviously, we're on to Roy Hodgson, and I think he's a genuinely top coach. One of the best defensive managers in the league. Getting a top 10 finish last year from that squad, that defence, those strikers is not to be sniffed at. And it's no fluke. 10th, 12th, 9th. Very impressive for Palace. I'm sneaking him into tier 3, mainly because of this one photo of him in an overcoat, but also because I just prefer watching Crystal Palace to Burnley. So yeah, I'm going to put him in tier 3. Carlo Ancelotti is up next, the Don, trophies galore. Don't really need to spend too much time on him. Historically, one of the greatest managers in football history, and the revolution at Everton has been truly remarkable. One I actually said I didn't think he could pull off, so he's proved me wrong. Not the first manager on this list that's done that, because I always get predictions wrong. The summer window is incredible, and it wouldn't have been incredible without him there. There's no way James Rodriguez or Alan join if Carlo's not in the job. The Dominic Calvert-Lewin improvement has been monumental. They're pushing for top 4, which is something I didn't think would happen. Clear tier 2. Scotty Parker is up next. Big Scott. I actually love him. What an absolute gent. But I do need someone in tier 5. I actually think he has a pretty clear vision of how he wants to play football with slow possession build-up. The result against West Brom maybe signalled a little bit of a shift in form. You know, Anderson and Tosin at the back with Lamina and Anguissa in front of them, much more solid. But I don't think he's good enough to keep this squad in the division. We actually discussed him at quite a lot of depth on Sunday Vibes as well, coming out on, obviously, Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled on that one. I'm putting him in tier 5. Marcelo Bielsa is up next. One of the most revolutionary coaches ever to manage in football. Worked miracles to bring Leeds up for the first time in 16 years. No manager in the league has such a unique style and vision of how he wants to play football, I don't think. 5th in the league by expected goals, 12th in reality, but they're so fun to watch. He's just so influential, and nobody can sit there and say they don't enjoy watching Leeds play. So I'm putting him in tier 2. Brennan Rogers is up next. One of the best tacticians in the league, in my opinion. I know a lot of the FD boys massively disagree with me over this one, but I think his 3 at the back system that he's employed at the start of this season to cover for some major injuries has worked brilliantly. He's had Pereira injured, he's had Ndidi injured, he's had Maddison injured, and over the course of the last 12 months, Leicester have still been a very solid top 4 contending side. And that is not something I think many people would have thought at the start of last season. I genuinely believe he's a great coach. Tier 2. Jurgen Klopp up next, the best man manager in the league, probably the best tactician right now, Premier League winner, Champions League winner, don't need to say anything else about him because he's obviously tier 1. Pep Guardiola follows him. Yes, Man City might be out of form, but Pep is undeniably in the top 2 managers in the league. Whether you rank him first or second behind Klopp is up to your personal preference, but he still holds the highest points tally in Premier League history and about another 35 records along with that, so yeah, obviously tier 1. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer then, tier 4. Now it's a tough one, and we speak at huge length about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the job he's done at Manchester United on Sunday Vibes, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one. I think he's actually unfairly labelled as a poor coach by plenty of football fans when he's done okay with the squad building at Manchester United. Way too inconsistent really this season. Started to get more things wrong than he gets right, which I don't think you could have said last season. I'm going to put him in tier 4. Stevie Bruce is up next. Now, Newcastle have not been pretty this season. I think even their fans would be the first to admit they have played some ugly football at times. I'm not going to spend ages on Brucey because he's obviously a lovely bloke, but I do believe his philosophy of football is slightly out of date for the modern game and the Premier League. A little bit too defensive, over-reliant on Callum Wilson to score goals, and just dull. Tier 5, tier 4. Do you know what? I'll put him in tier 4. Chris Wilder is up next then. What a job he did last season. To finish 9th with Sheffield United after being promoted from the Championship was an absolute miracle. He tactically nailed it. Teams didn't know what they were coming up against, and had this tier list been done 6 months ago, categorically I'd have had him in tier 3. But the start of this season does feel like they've been found out somewhat. I understand the injury to O'Connell is huge, much bigger than, even a Virgil van Dijk injury to Liverpool, losing Jack O'Connell, really. So, do I put him tier 3 or tier 4? The job he's done at Sheffield United is just monumental. Tier 3. But no, if I've got Dyche in tier 4, I'm going to have to put Wilder in tier 4. Ralph Hasenhüttl, then. What to say about Big Wreck-It Ralph, because he has a very clear tactical philosophy that I, for one, absolutely love watching. He's turned Southampton around after that 9-0 drubbing by Leicester into one of the best 8 or 9 teams in the country. And I didn't think he was going to survive that result, so fair play. 5th in the league right now. Danny Ings scoring goals for fun. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they play without Danny Ings. Now he's out for 4 to 6 weeks with that knee surgery. Yeah, I really rate Ralph Hasenhüttl. Not enough for tier 2, but certainly enough for tier 3. Jose Mourinho is up next, and how he has proven me wrong at Tottenham Hotspur. I hold my hands up. Not for the first time, and it won't be the last time. There was never really that much bad blood between him and Manchester United fans. We just didn't like the way he played football. Obviously, he fell out with the squad, but match-going fans will all tell you that they were cheering for him right up until he was sacked. At Spurs, I genuinely think he's actually building something quite special. The squad is superb. I didn't think he would win a trophy, and I said that on Sky Sports News. I do now think a trophy is the minimum he'll achieve at Southampton. So brilliant summer, playing fun football. Hats off Jose Mourinho. Tier 2. Slavin Billich is up next then, and I'm just not having him this season. 3 wins in the league since February the 29th. That's including the Championship season, which is just crazy. I'm not the biggest fan of his tactics, not the biggest fan of his team selection. He has to some extent been hung out to dry by the board. A horrible summer. But I think even West Brom fans will admit that some of his choices have been fairly questionable. Obviously, stuff like the Hegazi deal happening behind his back isn't great, but I don't think he'll still be West Brom manager after the international break. I'd be very surprised if he is. So yeah, I'm putting Slavin in tier 5. David Moyes then. What a start to the season Big Moyes he's had. 14th, yes, I admit, but probably the hardest start to the season of any team in the entire league. Obviously mugged me off when I said on Twitter they wouldn't take a single point from their opening 7 games. Well done, Joe. Now, I would have him in tier 3 just for mugging me off that badly, but considering he was managing half the games on Zoom, I'm putting him in tier 4 just to wind up the West Ham fans. Nuno Esperito Santo is the final name on the list then, and it's a tough one because it's one thing to get Wolves into the position of a top half Premier League side. It's a total another thing to keep him there, and he has done that to perfection. They're a nailed on sort of top 8 team, and the squad is superb. But I also believe Wolves is the perfect place for Nuno. He's got everything pulling in his direction there. He is the gaffer with all the pull, with a full Portuguese squad, management that really suits him above him, and of course Jorge Mendes. Do I put him in tier 2? Do you know what? I can't imagine him managing a team that is a lot higher than Wolves, which makes me think he should be in tier 3. So yeah, I'm tier 2, tier 3. I'm going to put him in tier 3 reluctantly. So that was my tier list of current Premier League managers. Hopefully it hasn't changed by the time this video goes out tomorrow, or today if you're watching it. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you comment who the worst manager in the league is. You might well feature on my Instagram. And head over to Eurofootball Daily to watch Continental Club with Doogie, Critchley and the boys. Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch you later.